What a game, man. It does feel a little weird to be previewing this and not be basketball because typically when UVA and Duke face off against each other
Such a great point.
and there's ACC championship aspirations on the line, you go, oh, that's Tony Bennett and Coach K. I know neither of them are the coaches at their respective basketball schools anymore or respective schools, but still, that's what you're expecting. Kyle Guy versus, I don't even know, Zion Williamson. They weren't even in college at the same time, but whatever. But no, this is on the gridiron, and it matters a crap ton for these two schools, but also the rest of the ACC as we're trying to figure out how in the world this ACC championship game race is going to shake up and how the ACC is going to fit into the larger college football playoff picture. With all that being said, Virginia goes to Duke, where Duke is a 5.5-point favorite. Right off rip, I don't think it being at Duke matters that much. They've shown time and time again they don't show up at all for football.
Yep.
Basketball school. But
and we're
they
in
are
basketball season too.
Exactly.
I need to go see where their basketball team is playing. Maybe they're playing at the same time.
Yes, a good
They
point.
won't be there.
But Duke is favored by 5.5. It looks like Chandler Morris is going to play, which is huge for Virginia.
Yep.
And once again, there's a massive, massive game. Your initial thoughts, JP?
So Duke, if you don't know, lost to UConn last week.
Yep.
They host Indiana State. So the basketball team host Indiana State this weekend on Friday night. So maybe they'll be still in town the following day for the Virginia Duke game. I doubt it.
They probably view that game against Indiana State as more important than this game against Virginia in football.
Absolutely. I don't even have to tell you why Duke lost last week to UConn. If you know anything about this team, you know the answer. It's one word, turnovers. They turned it over 3 times last week. UConn turned it over 0. Now, full credit to Duke's defense. They actually kind of kept them in the game with the turnovers post the 2 Darian Mensah picks, which were both inside of Duke's own 30-yard line. They only gave up 2 field goals. But that was the difference in the game. UConn ends up winning by 3, 34-37. They got enough going offensively, and the 2 field goals made the difference. Duke, this team is fully reliant on turnover battle. This is diabolical in itself. Games that they win this year, they have no turnovers. They haven't won a game this year where they've turned the ball over. But also defensively, they are forcing, on average, 3 turnovers per game. Games that they lose, which they've lost 4 this year, they have 1 forced turnover per game, and they are averaging 2.5 turnovers per game, losing the turnover battle on average by 1.5 per game. They have lost the turnover battle by 5 in a game this year. They've lost it by 4. They have lost it by 3. This team, if they turn the ball over, it's over. If they don't turn it over, they will force turnovers, and they will beat you in that way because their offense is really, really dynamic. Darian Mensah, I wouldn't say he has no chance of being some kind of draft pick this year. He can also return next year if he wanted to and transfer somewhere. I would advise that personally. But he still has the numbers, and it's not necessarily him that's throwing these games and having all these turnovers. He had 2 last week against UConn, and he holds accountability for that. But he's averaging 310 passing yards per game. He has a 70% completion percentage, and he has 24 touchdowns and 4 picks this year through the air. Great numbers for a 5-4 Duke team and a 5-4 Duke Darian Mensah quarterback. What he's showing on tape as well, he can make some really incredible throws with his arm. It is just a question of, for them, it's been fumbles have been such it's catastrophic. Their fumbles and this year, protecting the football when it's in their hands already, has been catastrophic this year. On the flip side, again, it's turnovers for Virginia. Chandler Morris, I think, is going to play as well. He's had 3 games this year with turnovers. Those 3 games, they're 1 loss to NC State, a double overtime victory over Florida State, and an overtime victory over North Carolina. Those are Virginia's games where Chandler Morris is turning the ball over, and those are the games that they are losing or in really close one. Of course, they had the loss last week. Who did they lose to last week again?
Wake Forest.
That's right, Wake. But that was with Chandler Morris out. So with Chandler Morris playing, when he turns the ball over, they're in really close games down the stretch. Of course, North Carolina had a chance for a 2-point conversion to win that game. Florida State game was right down to the wire, double overtime. And then the loss to NC State, a non-conference loss. Again, don't ask about it. That, for me, I don't even have to break down anything more because I think that just tells the story of the game.
There's no point in breaking down anything else, really,
Agreed.
because this game is going to be hectic. It's going to be a frenzy. I expect a ton of points to be scored because the Duke defense is not good, especially their pass defense, which is a surprise of the season
128th
in a lot of ways.
Country.
But it is not good, and their offense is fantastic. Mensa has the arm talent when I think I saw the stat, and I'm not the hugest PFF grades guy, but he has like a 91 grade when throwing outside the numbers.
That's incredible.
Go balls, comebacks, all that crap. Like, just an elite arm, which can get him into trouble sometimes because he tries to make some throws that maybe aren't there. And for UVA, it's not like their pass defense is great either. They do have 10 picks on the season. They can be opportunistic. Once again, feeds right into the hands of this being a crazy chaos game.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I kind of am waiting for, and we may not get it because they've had so many chances to do so and it's not happened, but like does this Duke offense just have a high ceiling game where they finally don't turn the football over in a high-profile game and just like drop 50 and just beat the doors off some team? Because it could happen because they have so many weapons and their QB is so talented. But once again, it's like at this point I don't really expect that to happen because there's a lot of data points that suggest that won't be what happens.
Yeah, why should you? Because
Correct.
in the big ones where they have turned it over have been against Illinois, who was 11th in the country at the time, Tulane, who's been kind of fighting for the Group of 5 bid, but they have too many losses at this point. Georgia Tech, who is right now the favorite to win the ACC, and then UConn, which you would think that's a bad one. But UConn is actually one of the better teams in the independent right now.
Yeah.
Of course, there's only 2 teams in the independent, but they're a good program.
One of the
and they're on
better
the uprising.
One of the better non-Power 4 teams.
Agreed.
And also it was at UConn as well, which is crazy that it was at UConn, but it is what it is.
So for me, picking this game, I look at those games, the 4 biggest games of their year, Illinois, Tulane, Georgia Tech, and UConn, which I guess I would maybe argue the Clemson game has more importance. In those games, that's where they turn the ball over. So why should I trust them to not turn the ball over against Virginia this weekend? And especially with it being at home, Duke has no crowd. If you haven't watched a Duke game this year, they have hosted the 11th and 12th ranked team in the country this year. There was nobody in the stadium.
There probably was more people in the school library at the time than there was in the stadium.
It is crazy. So there will be no crowd still this weekend. Even with the Friday night basketball game the day before, I will be shocked if that stadium is 50% full. And because of that, with Duke's turnovers, troubles, and big games, I would take Virginia to win and, of course, to cover the 5.5 points. I think the Cavaliers will get it done and continue their ACC championship bid and stop this Duke doomsday scenario.
I would say the ACC needs UVA to win.
That everyone is highlighted on this week. I've seen literally every single network and every single person possible talk about the doomsday scenario, which is completely possible where Duke wins the ACC but doesn't make the playoff because JMU and USF's resume are better.
Yeah.
I think Virginia wins, puts that to bay. I'll take Virginia to win and cover and win the turnover battle, which will be the key.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, if you believe in karma, which I don't, but if you do, this kind of feels like UVA deserves to win just with the way you kind of get screwed out of a win last week. Your starting quarterback goes down due to a bad hit when he's sliding, concussed, has to come out of the game. Backup quarterback can't get anything going. Wake Forest actually has a pretty good defense, so it's just it's a brutal spot to be in, and you end up losing. So it just kind of feels like they deserve the bounce back. But I agree. I've trusted Duke a couple times in our pick'em to win these big games, and they have burned me bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to pick them again, which means, of course, they'll win this one. But no, go Cavaliers. Go get a win on the road. Even if you don't win, I feel pretty good about them covering the 5.5. So give me UVA. And Sanders also has UVA. So we are all on the same page there as we have been 2 other times.